Yeah, okay. So streaming's too expensive. So what? What am I supposed to say? Huh? Watch the highlights. Like, what am I supposed to say to the brokies? If you can't afford it, watch the highlights. Okay, you think I give a fuck? I don't care at all. What did Pablo Torre say? He said that? Let me talk to Steve. Steve Ballmer, Steve, I know he's back there. Steve, I'm happy to announce that with our partnership with FanDuel this year, we will be offering an Achilles parlay. So if you bet which player will tear their Achilles first, you get 1% off NBA League Pass this upcoming year, which will cost $1,000. So that's, yep. No, yeah. You're sending Cooper Flag to the Lakers. I don't care. Cooper Flag to the Lakers for Maxi Kleber and Adu Thero. I don't care if you don't. Well, folks, our good friend Adam Silver is back at it again. He's been in the news. Obviously, the NBA's been in the news quite a bit with this Kawhi Leonard tree situation that's going on. Reminds me of Elden Ring. You know, I fought off many tree bosses. What are they called? Tree bosses. I have fought them off because I'm just so good at what I do as an Elden Lord. But Adam Silver's been in the news, and I missed this. This was a few days ago, but I want to kind of go back to it because it's an important talking point. It really got the people going. Adam Silver at a press conference, I believe this was the Board of Governors meeting or some shit like that, was basically asked a question about fans who cannot afford streaming services with, you know, the new NBA media deal. Amazon's going to have games now. Obviously, NBC's going to have games now. And you start to combine all of the different services you're going to need to watch games. It starts to add up pretty quickly. And yeah, his response left a lot to be desired as the commissioner of the league. I'm not going to show this whole video because I think they've been copywriting this weirdly enough. But Adam Silver says fans who can't afford streaming services to watch NBA games can still watch free highlights, calling the NBA a highlights sport. And obviously this got a lot of attention, a lot of negative attention, and pissed a lot of people off. Let me just start here. I want to start with this right here, this article, because it is important and something to think about. Somebody compiled this with Netflix now entering the equation for the NFL. Obviously, the NFL streams on Amazon as well, all these different services. If you wanted to watch every single NFL game, if you are a diehard NFL fan, you would have to pay $1,600 to watch every single game. Now, obviously, that includes Sunday Ticket, which is, you know, expensive in and of itself, $400 for that. Now, this does say network games are $870 for Fox, CBS, NBC, ABC. Now, to be the contrarian here, you can just buy an antenna and get those, and it is much cheaper. You can buy an antenna online for $15. And it gets you access to those. Now, ESPN's a different thing entirely. Obviously, Amazon Prime, you need Peacock. I'm not sure. Are there games exclusively on Peacock? I'm not entirely sure. ESPN Plus. I don't think there are games. So this one's a little bit. Regardless, the situation still stands. The irony in all of this that about a decade or so ago, we all kind of collectively said, "Fuck cable. We're cutting our cords. We're going to go to streaming." Streaming is just easier. You get more access to stuff. It's better. And now all of a sudden we've reached a point where I myself, and I've talked to many other people who are like this, who are like, dude, low key, we want cable back. Like, as a sports fan, it's just easier to be a sports fan with a cable subscription than it is having to pay for all of this shit. So I'm sure somebody will calculate what it costs to watch every NBA game. Obviously, big difference there. There's thousands of NBA games over the course of a season compared to the NFL, where there's only 17 games a team. But just off the top of my head, the fact that a lot of NBA teams now have their own RSNs, their own sports networks, their own individual sports networks, you have to pay certain fees. So, for example, as a Mavericks fan, I can no longer just have YouTube TV, and YouTube TV carries Bally Sports or Fox Sports or whatever, and I can watch the Dallas Mavericks there. I also have to subscribe to Mavs TV, which is its own separate entity. I think it's like $14 a month to get access to those games. So, and then, if the Mavs are on ESPN that night and it's a national TV only game, I have to have a YouTube TV subscription or whatever the case may be in order to watch ESPN. If they're on Amazon that night and it's Amazon only, I have to have an Amazon subscription. If they're on NBC that night and NBC only, I have to have a way to watch NBC, whether that's through YouTube TV, whether that's through an antenna, whether that's through Peacock, whatever the case may be, right? So it is starting to get more and more expensive, right? And that's not even factoring in That's not even factoring in League Pass. So I start this video by laying this all out right here. As a way to say this is fucking brutal for consumers. And it is across all sports. It's not an NBA only problem. The consumer's just getting completely and totally fucked here by just how expensive all of these streaming services are. And circling back to Adam Silver's comments about how this is a highlight sport and fans can still watch free highlights, I want to throw him some bail here, believe it or not. Whenever I first saw this, I was like, why would he say this? And I still feel that way. Why would the commissioner say this? Especially a commissioner for a sports league that had to fight tooth and nail very recently, right? Very recently fighting tooth and nail to show consumers and to show the audience, guys, actually regular season does matter. And we're starting to fine people for not playing, and you have to play 65 games or else you're not going to qualify for all NBA awards because people don't really give a fuck about the regular season, and then they rest, and then they only play 55 games and they sit out 30, and that's really, really bad for fans. Hey, we're not doing that anymore, guys. Promise, tune in. It's really important. And then later just be like, yeah, who gives a shit? Watch the highlights. Like, whatever. If you don't want to watch the games, watch the highlights, right? But I'm going to throw him some bail here because it kind of is a highlight sport. Now, it's kind of a chicken and the egg situation here because NBA ratings have gone down. It's not been a secret. I've talked about it before. But the thing is NBA crushes social media. They do. Their engagement numbers on the internet are ginormous. They do it incredibly well, right? They are pound for pound, punch for punch, blow for blow with the NFL on that front. And the NFL generates 10, 20, 30 times the average viewership that an NBA game does, even an NBA Finals game, right? Like if we were to look at this right here, the top 25 most followed Big Four sports teams. I mean, look at this shit. The top 7 are all NBA teams. 7 of the top 10 are NBA teams. 8 of the top 11 are NBA teams. Just look at it. It's actually kind of insane, right? You just see these... The Big Four sports team by engagement per post, the Lakers are number 1. That's not much of a surprise. In 2024, the top 4 of the top 10 teams across all of the 4 major sports in the United States in terms of engagement per post were all NBA teams. And this isn't even like a rate stat. This is engagement per post, right? So you have the Lakers in 2024, Lakers, Warriors, Nets. What the fuck are the Nets doing there? Because 2024... KD and Kyrie were already traded. Who was watching Nets highlights? Who was watching Mikal Bridges highlights like that, man? And then you had the Celtics. Now, this past year, 2025, you only had the Lakers and the Warriors in the top 10, and the NFL sort of started to sneak their way in, right? But the Lions jumped all the way up to number 6. How about that? Detroit Lions? Well, they're back on the come down, unfortunately. But as you can see, the NBA just kind of dominates on the internet. So Adam Silver's not wrong in that regard, okay? Now, that's not to say, obviously ratings have gone down really across all sports besides the NFL. Viewership was up in the playoffs last year, 12%. It was a really big viewership spike last year in the postseason. It did crater in the NBA Finals. It was one of the least viewed finals we've seen in quite some time. But with that being said, all of these TV rating numbers for the NBA, they really don't. God, I hate to be this fucking guy, but Silver's low-key kind of right. Because these things don't really matter at all. Ratings are just, the way that they're calculated now are a little bit outdated, right? So it says right here, the first 3 games of the NBA Finals this past year had ratings of 4.7, 4.5, and 4.8. The numbers that were pretty much unthinkable, even in 2020, but definitely unthinkable a decade ago, 2 decades ago, right? But if you look at the shares, and this is a different stat that they use, where it's like, what percentage of households have access to TVs and actually use them, watch them? 17%, 16%, 18%, which are as good or better than the finals in 2019. So as you can tell off that metric, interest in the NBA has not waned really, right? Even though the viewership numbers themselves are down. And it's a big reason why the NBA signed a ginormous 11-year, $77 billion TV deal a couple of years ago. They're not hurting for cash. They're not hurting for money, okay? They're doing quite well. And NBC, ESPN, Amazon, even TNT, who did not get broadcasting rights but wanted broadcasting rights, were not scared off by this whatsoever. So why am I saying Silver low-key might have a point? is that, yes, the league is very online. It is. It's very online. In fact, if you just look at viewership numbers for the NBA, it skews very young, especially when you compare it to other major sports leagues, especially when you compare it to other like TV, or if you're going to go off TV ratings, the NBA skews incredibly young. Incredibly. According to this data, like well over 50% of NBA fans are under the age of 49 years old. And if you just compare it over here to the NFL, for example, during the 23-24 season, where nearly half of NFL viewerships are over the age of 55, right? So the overwhelming majority of NBA fans are NFL fans. The biggest population groups are over the age of 50 years old. It's an older audience. The NBA is a much younger audience. So it does make sense that the younger fans who are online more, who are on TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, I don't know, all of those different things. Is there anything else? Threads? Who's on Threads? Is anybody on Threads? Blue Sky, right? It does make sense that a very large chunk of those viewers are watching highlights. Now, why do I say it's a chicken and the egg type of situation? Is it NBA's become a highlight sport because that's what the NBA kind of wanted it to become? Or is the NBA a highlight sport just because, yeah, you have these freak of athletes, these freak of nature athletes who are incredibly skilled, doing insane shit on a night-to-night basis. And yeah, I want to tune in and I want to watch it. I don't have time to sit there and watch all these games. So yeah, I'm going to sit and watch, LaMelo had 38 points last night. Let me queue up his highlights from last night and just watch that before I go into work this morning. Is it one of those things? Or is it like, I have no interest in the NBA, I'm only going to watch highlights? Or the NBA is pushing out these highlights and insinuating what Adam Silver kind of said here, where it's like, you don't have to watch the games, guys, just watch these highlights. And for the NBA, I think their hope when they do shit like that is, guys, just watch these highlights, but hey, when the playoffs come around, tune in. Or hey, this Saturday, Warriors-Lakers, you might want to tune in to watch. You never know what you're going to miss. Like, I think it's kind of one of those things. And I think they sort of overestimate how many people are going to tune in, would be my guess, right? But again, every time this argument and debate comes up, it feels like a gotcha for the NBA. It feels like a gotcha for Adam Silver. Then you remember, we aren't even 2 years removed from them signing a 11-year, $77 billion TV deal. $77 fucking billion. So, I mean, they're doing something correct, right? They are doing something right. Also, another thing that I will always give basketball credit for and the NBA credit for, and it is something you have to think about anytime you talk about ratings going down, this, that, and the third, is that youth participation is skyrocketing in basketball. It just is. Young girls' interest in basketball is skyrocketing. International interest in basketball is skyrocketing. Those are all things that will grow your sport. And, it might take time for that to bear fruit in terms of ratings. But, it will be beneficial for you down the line. That much is 100% certain, especially we're an online society now. We don't know where things are going in 10, 20 years. Nobody fucking knows. Nobody has any clue. Nobody knew this is where we would be 10 years ago. No one knew that. No one knew that Amazon Prime would have NFL games and NBA games, and that YouTube with Mr. Beast and IShowSpeed would have an NFL game on a Friday night in Brazil. Nobody 10 years ago would have known that. Nobody 20 years ago would have even known what the fuck you were even saying, right? So nobody knows what's happening. I do think it's good for the NBA to be an online league. It's just, can we convert that to ratings? But then at the end of the day, like, who really gives a shit? I've kind of reached that point where it's like, why do I care really? I think the product's really been really, really good on the court. I think it's been awesome. I am excited about Amazon. I'm hopeful for them. I'm hopeful for NBC just because my big gripe with Adam Silver, and I was really just making this long-winded video to get to this point right here. My big gripe with Adam Silver really isn't necessarily this, even though I do agree this isn't like a great look. It's more so, I wish he would have more of a tyrannical fucking grip on his broadcasting partners. And yes, I wish he was a tyrant with ESPN. I do. Okay. I think part of the reason why maybe it's viewed as a highlight sport, and I actually do think this plays a role in ratings being down and people not having a lot of interest, is the league, the sport, the NBA is talked about so negatively on television. These big, gigantic shows that are being broadcasted by networks that have your broadcasting rights are pushing out this fucking slop daily, right? You look at any NBA content on TV, and I'm talking about ESPN, obviously. You look at any NBA content on TV, how often is it like just strictly positive content? How often? 5% maybe? And of that 5%, how much of that do you see? How much of that gets pushed out? How much of that gets shown? Next to none of it, right? I mean, how many like viral clips from the past year did you see of somebody on ESPN being like, hey man, love what the Detroit Pistons are doing. They got all these shooters, and look at Cade Cunningham. He's having this incredible season. And look the skill and the ball handling at his size paired with his like he's becoming this star in front. None, right? How many times did you see LeBron versus Jordan in the past year? About 1,000. But that doesn't make sense. There's 365 days a year. Yeah, I know what I'm saying. They do it about 3 to 4 times a day. So that sounds about right to me. How many times did you see something go viral of a former player and an ex-player shitting all over the current state of the league? About 1 million? How many times did you see, ironically, how many times did you see a player who is hosting a halftime/post-game show for a network that has broadcasting rights for your fucking sport? How many times did you see a clip go viral? They were like, yeah, back in my day, I would have averaged 100 points and none of these players would even be rotation players for us. About 1 trillion. So that's where I have problems with Silver. And I'm being dead serious. I wish you'd be tyrannical, right? I wish you would say, hey, there's no constitution here. There's no freedom of speech. You're fucking fired. If you don't get a grip on how your people talk about our sport, you're not going to get broadcasting rights. We'll find somebody else. There's plenty of people. We just X'd out TNT. TNT would love to come back. I wish he would have I wish he would have a firm grip like that. I really do. Because it is bad. Because I'm telling you guys, I watch a lot of games. And I'll be paying whatever the fuck it is to watch all of these games. I'll watch highlights. Like, I don't really have much of a problem with Silver saying this. I truthfully do not, right? I don't think this is that harmful for the sport. And if I had to guess, I don't think Silver is really not a good look to answer a question like this, especially as a commissioner. But I don't think Silver was saying like, yeah, whatever, like we're a highlight league, just watch the highlights. I think he was more so saying like, hey, yeah, people watch highlights of our sport. Like our ratings are a bit down, but our social media engagement is high. We're a highlight league currently, which is true. It is 100%. And you guys are lying to yourselves, right? I watch highlights. I don't watch every game from every team. I have League Pass. I'm a League Pass sicko. I don't watch every game from every team. Sometimes I do watch highlights, right? Most people, I would have to venture to guess, even if you consider yourself really big basketball fans, probably watch their team's games, probably watch the nationally televised games. Hell, if you have League Pass, maybe you tune it on, maybe watch a game a night or something like that. But by and large, you're going to watch a lot of highlights as well, right? My big problem is the way that his sport's talked about. That's my big problem. I don't know how they allowed their broadcasting partners to just speak about their sport as negatively as they do. It's really bad. It continues to be bad. I'm hopeful Amazon and NBC go a different direction and it's more of a celebration of the fucking sport. Right? You tune on NFL, God, every game feels like you're watching the Super Bowl. Like, that's the thing NFL crushes. Okay? That's the thing the NFL crushes. Every game you tune into, even if it's the 3-13 Saints versus the 7-6 Cardinals, right? Like, it feels like you're watching the Super Bowl, the way they're all hyping up all these players and talking about, man, if that was the NBA, this would be it. If that were the NBA, this would be it. We go into halftime, Shaq, what? I don't even know what team we're watching. Chuck, why did you guys invite me here? I don't even want to watch this game. That would be it. That would be it. It would just be shitting all over it. I mean, I'm being truthful. I'm being honest. So I don't have much of a problem with Silver saying this, believe it or not, right? Because I think he's correct. It is a highlight sport. Now, could they fix that? I don't know. Fix your broadcasting partners. They fucking suck. They're horrible. Tired of ESPN. Get them out. I'm done with ESPN. Like, comment, subscribe.